We got something to talk about. Pretty sure there's an election coming up. Got about a week left. Let's talk about it.
Strong and wild, we rise up high. Conquer fears, won't let them reside. Heartbeats pound as we take the dive. Living now feels so alive. Heart steel veins glowing bright. Fitness gone in the dead of night. Fading game, we got the sight. Crushing finance, career out of sight. Men of now, we own it true. Breaking chains, just me and you. Success stories everywhere. Living life beyond compare.
What's going on? We're back at it again. And it's my favorite topic, of course, politics, every single time that we get into election season. Kevin, I got to drop it to you because I actually have something I got to take care of in the other room. Go ahead and intro the show.
All right, well, thanks, buddy. Well, if you don't know me, I'm Kevin, Big Brother at the Minute Now. Today, we're going to be talking about how politics has kind of shifted in the way that politicians present themselves, how they get their message across, and the platforms they're doing it on. You know, I've been around for a little bit, and I can remember when you had debates and you would have interviews, you would have rallies where they talked about policy and what they were going to do. And it's changed. It has changed since 2016. And I think having a businessman from New York come in and shake things up has probably influenced that quite a bit. However, I don't know if the way it is going is the right way to do it for the country, because that's what it's all about. So we got a lot to talk about. Would love to see some comments of people that are viewing, wanted to weigh in. However, the big thing that's going on now is Trump recently went on Joe Rogan, which even Rogan said that I'll never do that. And it happened after the assassination attempt. And I got to watch, I haven't watched the whole thing, but I got to listen to their podcast. And it's been viewed, I think, over 40 million times. And I'll tell you.
Oh, hold on. And suppressed.
So yeah, definitely suppressed by YouTube. Try to find it on YouTube and see what happens. I don't know how I feel about that. YouTube's still a private company. They can do what they want. However, what kind of fucking play is that?
Well, let me just state this. Yes, they're a private company. They can do whatever they want. I agree with that. However, when you have people like Kamala, who had just been on, I don't know, she was on some other thing. She's on a weird
female podcast
weird tour
named.
Well, not even that. It was just a couple days. Yeah, it was just like a day or two ago. And she had said specifically in her statements, you can go ahead and just Google it. I mean, you see right there what we're saying. Hitler. That's the stance that has been taken by the one side. And it's, to me, it's kind of wild, you know, because it's like, why can't we have civil discourse? Why does it have to come down to name calling, shaming, attacking, ad hominems? Like, when are we actually going to have like clear, succinct communication about, I mean, quite frankly, the president of the United States is probably the most important job you could have in America. And instead of taking it seriously, we're going on these podcasts, like as you said, and as what you were alluding to, with Kamala going on Call Her Daddy. For those who don't know, Call Her Daddy was a very successful girls podcast. It was two girls. They were acquired by Barstool Sports. If you guys know Portnoy, he's quite the cat. One bite, everybody knows the rules for pizza reviews. And then they got in a scuffle, and then they separated, and then essentially the one girl got executed. And so Call Her Daddy is now a solo hardcore feminist podcast of one single lonely girl putting her voice out into the world. And so she chose to go on that because she wanted to get the reach. Makes sense though. It does. It does. Smart moves. The way that the moves were played though, I think was a little off because you already have the hardcore modern feminist women who are going to vote for you. So who are you really trying to reach? And that's why initially she was trying to get on Joe Rogan, which I thought was interesting. And then the news came out that Joe Rogan was going to have Trump. And the only reason, and it was a very respectful message, but the only reason why Joe Rogan did not do a show with Kamala was because her camp said, you have to fly to us and you will only get 1 hour.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like, what are we doing here? So literally her media tour is more like a public display of assassination. Like, I don't know. It's like almost like a public burning. Like she's just, they went from, I don't know if you've looked at it. Then this is what I find so fascinating as we like dive deeper into this discussion. If you've looked at the poly markets, which I understand, yes, it's just gambling on who's going to win, it still is indicative of the silent voter. And we have now switched from a very close 50-50 race, where actually at one point Kamala was at 54 and Trump was more at 46, to now it is Trump 66, Kamala 33. So 2/3 of the vote
in the betting markets, right? Yeah. I read a little bit about that as well, but it's you alluded to it a little bit ago, like with the name calling, and I know Trump. He says some wild stuff, and he likes to make names with people. Communist Kamala, Sleepy Joe. That's his shtick, but it's always just kind of like a poke in the side. What I'm seeing from the left now is far more than a poke in the side. Just like they did in 16, just like they did in 20, they bring up Hitler. They like to use the word fascist. They like to use any derogatory thing that just makes people cringe. But now, I think here in 2024, people are tired of it. I mean, this is the same song and dance that they've tried. They want to take away Medicare so grandma and grandpa die. They want the air dirty because they want to drill and get oil. They want the water dirty because they don't want regulations. And I think now everybody's just kind of fucking tired of it. That same old song and dance is played out. And so the name calling by Trump, which is basically a comedic poke in the side to his
he's
opponents.
an entertainer.
Yeah, and that's what
he's an entertainer by trade. I mean, he's a businessman, and then he had the show The Apprentice. Like, he's used to this. He's used to the song and dance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it doesn't faze him. But I mean, to me, it shows a desperation from the left to have to use names like Hitler. Which, I mean, comparing Donald Trump to Hitler, did you forget that he was in office from 2016 to 2020? Did he jail any of his opponents? Did he create concentration camps? Did he do any of the things that would be reminiscent of Hitler in his derangement era? because 3 years before the Second World War started, he was Time Magazine's Man of the Year. He was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. This guy named Adolf Hitler. But look at the atrocities he pulled. But they're trying to compare Donald Trump to him. I mean, come on, it's ridiculous, and it might resonate with some people because you
It's
see
the
people,
emotional pull, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the emotional pull. They're trying to make you remember the horrific things that occurred in the concentration camps, so then you can associate a bad memory with this man.
Yeah, kind of, kind of put him in the same league. But people aren't stupid. People were alive in 2016 through 2020, and they saw a good shift for the American way, and this thing called COVID come up, and that's what they want to kind of relate his presidency to. But there was 3 years of really, really good times. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he says some wild shit. I get that. But to think that people are going to believe that he's going to actually jail his opponents, which they tried to do to him, by the way, and create a fascist world where it's a one dictatorship. Trump doesn't want that. I know that because I've read his books, several of them. Art of the Deal, of course. Why We Want You Rich, that he co-wrote with Robert Kiyosaki. If you really get to know Donald Trump behind his New York brash businessman, he just wants people to succeed. And it's hard for me to say that and not seem like I'm just team Trump, because I'm registered, not affiliated. I vote for the candidate, but the way it's gotten with such the divide, it's hard to not be that way. But let's pull it back to what we wanted the show to be about. The candidates no longer debating. The debate becomes a clown show.
Yeah, where was the primaries?
Oh, for her there wasn't one. And that's another thing that, okay, they threw Joe Biden out. Bless his heart. We say that in the South. If you're from the South, you know what that means. So they could show, okay, yeah, he's not fit to still do it. He wasn't in 2020. He's not now. So that way they could implant her, thinking that somehow that she would be the rising savior, instead of having a primary or him dropping out before they decided he was going to run for office in 2024. But yeah, you're right. There was no primary. She was basically appointed the nominee. They say she ended up getting the votes, but I mean, yeah, that's easy after you appoint her, saying it's her or nobody. Yeah, she's going to get the fucking votes.
I'll tell you right now, my favorite moment of 2015 was when we started to have all of these different primaries and the primary debates. And we actually got to choose, as the American people, who was going to represent our party. What happened to that? Like, it absolutely blows my mind. And I enjoyed the hell out of that. I enjoyed the hell out of it for years, because it shows you how somebody functions when they're on their feet. And that's one of the things that I've noticed. Frankly, I am a huge fan of Mr. Steven Crowder here. So I do watch a lot. I watch him every single day. So I do watch a lot of right wing. However, I watch a lot of left wing as well. And my girlfriend doesn't know what the hell's going on with me. And it's like, well, I just want a balanced opinion. Nothing wrong with that. And so by getting that balanced opinion, then I can actually have critical thinking to figure out exactly where our nation needs to go. And they pulled away the ability for critical thinking until recently, because it was on this podcast tour that we saw how bad it really became, especially for Kamala. I mean, she went, we were talking about it, like what, like those betting odds went from about halfway. It was like, I think it was like 54, 46 at the highest peak towards Kamala. And then it pulled itself back. And now it's at 66%. So 2/3 of people are leaning towards Trump. Like, oh my God. If that doesn't say something, like, I don't know what does. Absolutely wild to me. Absolutely wild to me. Because, like, it's just absurd. And like, so once she gets out there, she just does the same scripted thing. And I don't know if you've ever had this type of conversation with somebody, whether it be with a girl you're dating or even a coworker, like anybody in your life. You have the conversation where you ask a question and then they don't answer the question. And there's only so many times you can do that before you completely lose your goddamn fucking mind and you want to pull your hair out. Right?
Yeah, oh yeah. I never had it, with a girlfriend or a coworker, unless, well, maybe back in the day, if you're trying to get the truth out of them and they just refuse to tell the truth. But I see that. I think we talked about this last night in our closed meeting. Is I'm so tired of watching congressional hearings with subpoenas when they're asking questions to panels and you don't get an answer. Well, Mr. Senator, Mr. Chairman, when it's a yes or no question and you get a paragraph of nonsense, and you do get that from Kamala Harris, and to the credit, I'm not going to say to her credit. One thing I did notice, and one thing I loved about the Joe Rogan Trump podcast, is that Rogan does what he does best. He stays level-headed. He was unbiased. At no point that I saw. I only saw about maybe 3/4 of it. And when it was brought up, that basically the same thing we're talking about, he brought up the point that, well, sometimes when you're thrust on stage like that and you're put into the forefront, you clam up. And that's true. And that's valid. However, it's not valid for somebody who's bidding to be the leader of the free world to clam up when you're asked a simple question and you can't answer it.
Well, to be fair, when she had her town hall on CNN, they asked her what her biggest weakness was. And her biggest weakness was, well, you see, everybody has weaknesses, especially coming from the middle class. I also grew up in the middle class. And growing up in the middle class, it's very difficult to get ahead. And I understand that. And the American people that are growing up in the middle class are suffering from it. But I do have to say, the biggest thing that I've had to work on, and I know my friends will call me this, but I like to study. So my friends would call me a bookworm. I know that's not like the best term, but they would call me a bookworm because before I answer a question, I always want to make sure I'm educated on it. Because if I'm educated on it, then I can make the right decision. So that's why with these questions, like I'm not always sure, but I think that that's my biggest fault is that I study really hard. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's whoops, I switched those things up. So I will throw to this because I don't want to take leans or stances, but I thought it was so fucking funny when Steven Crowder did this and they were talking about it. It's like, okay, so we have nuclear missiles coming from North Korea coming right to us right now, and we need to make a move. What move do we make? Do we what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? We have minutes. Well, let me go back to the book. Let me go back to the book and then I'll go ahead and study it a little bit more. What the fuck are we talking about? Like the non-answer pains me. And I don't think it's necessarily like a woman thing, which I will actually like come down on Crowder about that. I think that they made it more of a woman thing than it should have been.
Yeah.
It's just as a leader, can you make decisions on your feet? That's important. And that's why, for me, and I said this before, and I'll say it again, the most important things that I believe in this election right now is economy and international relations. If we skip over any of those two, we're fucked. It's not abortion. It's not abortion. You still have a right. And if you don't like your state's laws, you can either vote to change them locally, which is how this system works, or you can move to another state. Nobody's holding you. You're not shackled. You can do whatever you want to do. So that's what I just don't understand how they keep pulling it back to that when those, to me at least, are not the most important things. And then when we ask these questions, we're getting non-answers. We're getting float around answers, or the default does become Hitler. Hitler. Oh, he said he wants his generals to be like Hitler. Oh my God, what are we doing right now? You know what? Before we go forward, though, I do want to bring up my good friend AJ. I don't know if he's available right now. I know he's at work, but AJ,
I'm
if
here.
you're around,
I'm here. I'm just having my camera off because I'm at work, and
yeah, no worries.
we're discussing political things, so get a little spicy around that stuff.
Dude, I absolutely love it. That's why I used the thumbnail for last time as the AI image of Trump rubbing Kamala's pregnant stomach.
Oh God, the AI is getting insane. I don't know. This election season is a little funky to me, and I go on the conspiratorial side of it. I don't trust anything, especially after I think there was a wake up by the quote unquote powers that be after the Argentinian election and the French EU Parliament election. Because you look at the actual French national election and the British election, polls said one thing, but the results say the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't believed in polls or trusted polls since well before 2016. Probably the GW era is I learned polls were full of shit. Because one, I've never been polled. Who are these people they're talking to? I don't know what, where they're pulling these polls. You can go to San Francisco and talk to 5 people. And if 3 of them say Trump's Hitler, oh, well, the polls show
Yeah.
that, so I mean, polls can kiss my ass. I'm not going to listen to that. I'm not going to listen to, early voting results. I'm not going to, and this bullshit now about we don't know on election night who the fucking president is. I have to call bullshit if you're going to say, oh, well, this state didn't count theirs in time, because that's never happened except in the last couple of elections. I call shenanigans on that.
Well,
So
how does a country like how does a country like India, who's got like 800 million voters at least, do their election in one day?
Well, maybe
Yeah,
they use. Well, maybe they just use the internet and don't do mail-in voting, where once things get mailed in, they just burn them or throw them away. Like, I know that sounds absurd, but it's just the truth. It does occur. To what extremity? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's just absurd. It's like, yeah, it shouldn't be that difficult. It shouldn't be that difficult. But I almost think that we handicap ourselves. America as a country, we handicap ourselves because we require it to be done a certain way that has far, far been surpassed with modern times. I mean, hell, we got all this AI crap going on and that we're pushing out, and we can't even do an internet election tied to your social security number where you can only vote once and it's tied to the individual session. I mean, I work in IT. This all makes sense.
Yeah,
It's absurd.
I work the backside of IT, so I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense.
And it's funny that you mentioned mail-in voting, because I lived in Washington State for like 10 years, and that's how they do their voting. They mail you out the ballots, and then you drop them off in a ballot drop box to pick them up. I just checked just for shits and giggles. I'm still registered in Washington somehow, and they mailed my ballot to my old address up there. So I'm going to track that ballot, even though I'm living in Texas and I plan to vote on Tuesday.
Guess where my ballot ended up?
No idea where.
South Carolina.
Ugh.
I live in Philadelphia, but because it was tied all the way back to my original place of residence before I was 18, and then my parents retired and they moved to South Carolina, that's where my ballot went. Isn't
I would
that
check that
absurd?
thing. Yeah, I would watch that thing.
Yeah, it's absurd.
Yeah, it leaves too much of a margin for error. You know, it's we never had issues. I mean, I'm sure in every election that we've had, especially in modern day, there has been a little fraud here or there. But if we've gotten to the point now where your party has to cheat, then what does winning really mean to you? Because it kind of got away from what the American people, what the democratic republic we live in was founded on. Why does either side feel like they have to cheat? Why don't you just let the people decide and then go with what they decide? Why does it have to be now that we have to feel like we need to cheat? And that's what scares me the most is where is the power grab? What does the power instill in you if your
See,
party wins?
you're completely missing everything, Kevin. Okay, because Donald Trump is a fascist, and he wants to destroy the
That's
American
true.
people, and he wants to kill the enemy within. And everybody, like, okay, I can't even keep a straight fucking face at this, but you know what I mean. It's
I
just
could have played along for 20 minutes on that one, but no, that's there's going to be an implosion if there hasn't already. To get back to just because I'm at heart I'm a libertarian, which if you're familiar with libertarian beliefs, we've been a small government. You stay out of my business, I'll stay out of yours. Spend my money wisely. The only thing I need that I think we need a bigger budget in is for our military, because I think that's the one thing that keeps us a superpower in the world is the strength of our military. So I think the budget needs to be increased there. However, a libertarian belief is what really suits with me of smaller government. Just do your thing, keep the roads paved, keep the lights on, and then let the American people decide their future and their destiny. Because to me, that's what works the best. That's the fucking American way, in my opinion. But you can't vote libertarian. You can't even vote independent anymore, because even if you are an independent, you vote that way and say an independent won the presidency. Well, independents aren't going to have that Congress, which basically decide everything after it goes through the chain, through the legislature. It's a wasted vote in a sense. So you do have to pick a side. Even as a libertarian, an independent, a constitutionalist, you have to pick Republican or Democrat and what's going to work with you.
I don't know. I don't agree with that one. I'm like Tuesday. I'm going to vote. I'm straight ticket NOTA. None of the above. I don't trust any of them. I understand it actually goes back to, was it post battle Waterloo? Nathan Rothschild. I care not who makes the laws of the country as long as I control the money supply. That's why I don't trust either big party.
I can understand that.
I can see both sides. I'm actually on Kevin's side with this because I am much more libertarian, and I've become more and more as I've grown. And it just sucks that you don't even have that as an option. Isn't that wild? Like, you don't have that as an option. You were forced into two sides. And then, because I remember back, what was it? Back in like leading up to 2008, I believe it was, when the Green Party actually started to get like 1%. And then that went nowhere. So you're like forced down. I could be completely wrong on that fact too. And you can go ahead and say whatever about it if I'm completely off base. But I know that there was strength growing in some of the third parties. And I just don't get it. Why does it have to be us first, them? Because that's what America has now created.
Yeah, well, the parties have created that. Well, and the American people have created that as well, because there is a divide. I mean, I'm not going to say there's not, and I hate that there is, but there was a time when, you could have a Democrat president, a Republican House and a Democrat Senate, but they would all work together. And they sat down and have real conversations.
Yeah,
But
but
now
which one of them was Hitler?
Oh, definitely the Republicans. Well, you know what? At that time, yeah, it was probably the Democrats. Who knows? But at
I
the end
mean,
of
the
the day,
Democrats, FDR put Japanese in internment camps, much like Hitler put the Jewish people in internment camps.
yeah. I mean, he did, but that was also, you know, coming out of the Great Depression, so people wanted to change, so they went radical. You know, but back to my point, I mean, there was a time when, you know, there was a happy medium between both parties, and they would work together to do what they could to make life better for the people. But now, I mean, especially some of these young Congress people, I don't even have to say the names. You know what I'm talking about. And this
What
is
you
on one
mean?
side.
You mean the one with strikers?
You mean that OnlyFans creator AOC, who's got some pretty sweet feed pics?
I'm sure. Yeah. You know, I mean, she's one of them. The squad itself, you know, these
Yeah.
people that they did nothing with their lives until they got elected to Congress. And now all of a sudden they're the know all be all of their party. And if you don't agree with them, you're stupid. And you should
You haven't
listen to a
earned it.
26-year-old bartender that got elected. Yeah, oh yeah, she did great. But you have them on the right too. You know, you have the Marjorie Taylor Greens,
Right.
you have the Lauren Bobarts that are the same way. Okay, so I'm not going to just say it's just on the left. You have them on the right too. But we were talking about this in our closed meeting, Alex, and Josh was here. I wish he was here now. You know, you got to look at this as like a courtroom battle. Okay, you've got the plaintiff's attorney, you've got the defendant's attorney, you got the judge. You think all this plaintiff attorney, this defendant attorney, they hate each other, right? They're arguing. They're trying to win their case. The judge drops the gavel after the jury makes their selection. All three of them, the judge, the plaintiff's attorney, and the defendant's attorney, they go play golf together. They shake hands. Hey, you know, so tell me how baseball is going for your little one, Steve. So that's how it works in Congress, and that's how it works in the government. So all this
That's how it works in the real world. Like that's how it works. Like there's people that I work with, people that I've worked with for years that, yeah, I hate their guts. They probably hate mine. But at the end of the day, we understand what we're doing. We're getting a job done. And outside of that, it's up to us to decide whether we want to have that personal connection. We lost that. Now it has to be, you can't be friends with the other side. They are the enemy. And I don't know where that rhetoric came from.
Oh, dude, it's been around for a while because, like, I want to say 2010 time frame. It's probably when me and my younger sister kind of had our little falling out. It wasn't as bad as me and my older sister, but she just didn't. She stopped talking to me because I do not agree with Bernie Sanders. I can't stand Bernie Sanders. I'm from Vermont. I met the dude back in 2006. Guy's a POS. I will say that. Only worked like one day of carpentry as a real job in his entire life. Quote from, you know who Eric Moneyberg is, or I'm sure you've heard of Eric Moneyberg.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Eric Moneyberg quote said that everyone at the Chicago School of Economics says that Bernie Sanders is the biggest embarrassment to graduate that school. My younger sister's a total Bernie baby. She does not talk to me, or she's very cold with me because I disagree with Bernie Sanders and his communist viewpoints. So it's been around for a while.
Yeah, I mean that.
I guess we haven't realized it. Like that's just kind of what I'm thinking. I think we just haven't realized some of the rhetoric. I'll have to look this up here, and that's what I initially was going to put in the thumbnail. Because Kamala is using the way that she, how does she say it? Let's not think about like what has been, but think about
unburden what has become.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I have Mark.
It's literally out of the Communist Manifesto.
Yeah. Turn the page.
She's been, her one Senate term, she was reported more along the lines of Marxism and radical Marxism than even Bernie Sanders.
Yeah. Let's play a game right here before we dive deeper into some of the different showings that have gone on. If we follow a logical train, right? A logical thought path. So we have Kamala, who didn't push out any. Okay, and like, bear with me on this, guys. I want to make sure I'm getting this all right. Kamala went ahead and she pushed forward no policies for a long time. She evaded or made it difficult to do any type of unscripted interview. When she does the unscripted or even scripted interviews, it's canned lines over and over and over again that are not answering questions. And then, I mean, following off of that, not answering questions, direct questions, which I understand, yes, political way to handle things, but there's a line with that. There's a line with that, and it's a line that I've learned recently because I have grown in my career by being around great men like those in Men of Now. And so by doing that, I'm seeing the BS, and then they're continuing to push it forward. It's not going anywhere. Like I'm just trying to understand, do they think that the American people are actually stupid?
Yes.
Yes.
Why?
Well, because it's went through their head, AJ. Let me take this first. Here's the thing, and I noticed this when I was young as well, and I was impressioned by it. You think politicians are people that are a little bit above human. You start seeing them like that, especially when you're young. You start thinking that, okay, that's their job. They're great at what they do. However, I think a lot of us have noticed that these people are just regular people that took the time to get elected or took the time to push. Like we talked about her before, I'm not going to kick her in the mud. AOC was a bartender before she ran for office. And now she's been, I think, 2 terms reelected. I may be wrong for that. Now she thinks she's bestowed with all this new knowledge of how she can rule over the American people. And it's almost a stigma that they get in Washington that they're now somewhere above the class. And this is not an economic class. This is a social standard that they have put themselves. Now they think they're above. And so they get groveled to by people all day long. What can I get you to drink? What can I, you're the best. And so they hear us, it goes to their fucking head. And then they start putting themselves on that pedestal that they think they know what's best for the masses. It's basically like medieval times. You had 3 classes. You had royalty, clergy, and peasants. That's what you had. And the masses were the peasants. The royalty were small, but what they said was basically divine words, and the peasants followed. And they think they have that same dynamic once they get up into Washington and everything's given to them. And it basically dilutes their perspective on the real world issues. That's my opinion on it. I don't know if y'all agree or disagree, but that's my opinion on it.
I agree with you. I'd also add in that scene from Bug's Life. Like, Bug's Life's a very good allegory for what's going on in life right now, where it's like the ants are the people who are the tax base, right? The taxpayers, and the grasshoppers are like the politicians or the political class. The
Oh
elite.
my God, AJ, this is such a good analogy. I didn't thought about this.
And
literally as ants.
Yeah, and the grasshoppers are gaslighting the ants the whole entire time to keep them suffering. And sorry about that. We got a janitor in the office right now. But yeah, the grasshoppers gaslight the ants into believing that they're worthless and that's all they can do until the ants rise up. And the politicians are worried about a rise up. That's why I said right now in the comment section earlier, honestly, I believe a velvet divorce is our best option, which is what the Czechoslovakia did in 1989 to 1991.
Can you explain what that is, just so everybody understands?
Yeah. So the velvet divorce is what they call it colloquially in the Czech Republic and Slovakia. In 1989 to 1991, during the fall of the Soviet Union and the fall of the Berlin Wall, the Czechs and the Slovaks got together, said, hey, we're ethnically different. We don't agree on things. Let's peacefully dissolve Czechoslovakia and go our own ways. And that's why you have now Czechia, or Czech Republic, and Slovakia. Honestly, I think that's our best option. Break the fucking country up.
Yeah, no, I really do think that some of that type of stuff has happened. I mean, they've been talking for God knows how long about Texas splitting apart and doing those types of things. I think if done the right way, it's the right way to do it, but it needs to be done just right. Otherwise, it can completely throw everything off
Backfire.
kilter. And first off, before I even dive further into this, fuck you, Siege D. I don't know if it's my setup or not gonna lie. I slept like 2 hours last night, so maybe it's auxiliary on that. But I think it's just this entire situation is so interesting to me because I don't know about you guys, but back in 2016 when they were doing the election and it was Trump versus Hillary, I just kind of was having fun with it because I was like, all right, like growing up, like in fourth grade, I would watch The Apprentice every single week with my parents. It was like the family thing that we did. And it was hilarious. It was a good time. And so, yeah, of course, you're going to see that go ahead and move to politics as well. But I just don't understand the mask that politicians choose to take all the time. And I think that's why they really didn't like it when Trump came in, because Trump showed them exactly what actors do. Actors act, right? So they go ahead and they are putting forward whatever character they need to put out. So they don't like their manipulation, I guess, so to say, or their ways of presentation to be put out so cleanly to the public, because then the entire ruse that's been going on crumbles down, right? That's exactly what's going on, and that's why nobody likes him in politics. People that tend to get into politics at this type of level tend to be there for life. I will admit, because I was curious, I started looking up the AOC deepfakes. You can't really find them. You can't really find them anymore, and that again became interesting to me. So how come I can find deepfakes of Sydney Sweeney and Scarlett Johansson? Not so much even Taylor Swift anymore. It's almost like they're protected. Where have they gone? What is going on? It's almost like if you align, it's the same thing. And I don't want to play the conspiracy card, but I do find it so goddamn fascinating, because when you go deep into it, it's almost like those that align with that Illuminati or Diddy camp, they're protected. How are these people protected? Why are they protected versus everybody else? Like, if I'm voting for a better future and change, which doesn't make any sense, how can it be change if you've been in power regardless? You're voting for change. Well, what's going to be different? I'm not the protected class, right? I'm not the protected class.
Hmm.
It's because you're a cisgendered white male full of misogyny.
Yeah, but
You're
I could be
everything wrong with America.
black. I could be black, and it doesn't matter. I mean, we got another one of our homies here. Nomi, are you there for audio?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I can hear you, buddy.
Hey, how's it going, fellas?
Going good. Nomi,
Good. We got a
so
deep
for anybody who
conversation.
doesn't know, Nomi is one of our members of the Men and Now community. Well-respected friend, and very excited to hear what's going on. Actually, first question. Do you feel sore yet?
Not yet. Not yet. It's so far not.
Dude, I can't wait till tomorrow. I'm going to make fun of you
well,
so
so
much. You're not going to be able to get out of
trying
bed.
No, what you trying to do? What you trying to do? Are you trying to jinx at me? Like you want me to?
No, I'm not jinxing you, man. I'm not jinxing you. I just
sound
I
like-
just know I know from experience how rough it can be when you take a little bit of time off from the gym and then you get back in.
Yeah,
That
man.
you end up trying to do exactly what you normally do, but then boom, like you're matching where you used to, but it does not align with where your muscles currently are, and then you get kicked in the ass in like 2 days.
Yeah, I mean, I went to walk also for an hour, to just get my get my muscles started working. Because man, after the flu, getting back in the life, it's like like you have a routine and you follow that pattern, and all of a sudden like everything just crumble. Like the way you did what's in the back, like what's in the back. Yeah.
Right.
So
Well, I'm ready for you to get to the point when you are not sore and you're pissed at yourself.
No, I was doing fine. I mean, you saw that in my progress I was putting in the group.
Oh yeah. You're still doing great, man. Hey, we all take time. Remember that text I sent you? It's easy to miss. Once you miss one, you can miss the next, and before you know it, you haven't been 3 months.
Yeah.
But
So,
get back to what we're talking about.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Actually, it's a so interesting topic because I've been seeing around like both politicians. Like, what a time we alive! Like mainstream media is dead completely.
Completely dead.
It's
It's
dead.
also
Like
social media.
nobody even pay attention to that. Like we at the point right now, within just 2 days, 34 million views on Joe Rogan. And at the time, they have to censor it. Now it's got into censorship. Like you can't find it. It's so crazy. Like now we in the DNA that we have. It's gonna determine by what podcast are actually supporting a candidate.
Right. That's
Exactly.
literally exactly. So like because Trump went on Joe Rogan, he won the
Yeah.
election. And because Kamala was being bitchy and the camp wanted it to go their way, which made it not happen, she just lost the election off that move. And
Yeah.
the fact that defines a lot of undecided voters is crazy to me.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Well, I want to say this, because like I said, I watched didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched a lot of the Rogan experience with Trump. One thing that makes Rogan so special is that he is unbiased. He doesn't choose a side. He didn't go after Trump. He didn't grovel to Trump. They had a man-to-man conversation. And that was the first time I saw that with a politician in a long time. It wasn't CNN with a Democrat groveling. It wasn't CNN against a Republican degrading or fact checking and making everything look bad. It wasn't a group of broadcasters sitting there arguing with themselves about which side. It was a man-to-man conversation that they had. And I was thinking to myself today when I was listening to that, I was like, when's the last time Donald Trump had something that's televised or in the media like that? Probably since 2016. It's either all for him or all against him. I mean, no knock on Tucker Carlson or Kid Rock or any of those other guys that talk with him, Dana White. Also, it's either one-sided or not. But with Rogan, they had a 3-hour conversation, and it showed that Trump could just relax, could be himself, and they just had conversations about real issues, about nuclear energy, about the assassination attempt, about all these other things. And that's what made Joe Rogan so special. And where Kamala shot herself in the foot is when she said, okay, you fly to me and I will do 1 hour. Bitch, that's Joe Rogan.
That's Joe Rogan, exactly.
Yeah,
Okay?
I think Josie, the redhead libertarian.
Joe Rogan doesn't fly to anyone. He's a great stand-up comedian. He's a good commentator.
He's like, I don't owe you anything.
Yeah.
What makes him so special is the podcast that he brought to the world 6-7 years ago. I mean, who else gets Elon Musk to smoke a bowl with you?
and then get in a lot of trouble with the stakeholders.
But
what's funny is Josie, the redheaded libertarian, she laid it out pretty well on Twitter when people were putting Rogan on blast for his decision to say no to Harris's demands. Harris is a public servant. Rogan is the public. He's there to address grievances with her.
Yeah.
He serves him. He does not serve her.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
Josie's getting run up the wall right now on Twitter for her stance on that. But I totally agree with her on it.
Yeah. I mean, I actually listened the whole 3 hours podcast. But one thing I think a lot of people what?
Let's hear it. Let's hear it. I want to get
okay. One thing I come up with like I noticed about Donald Trump is dude is yapper. Trust. He yaps. He in the interview, like Joe Rogan was asking him a question, and he was really like pulling a long string of the answer, and Joe Rogan had to bring him back.
He had to bring him back many times. Yeah.
And he said, "Tell me about that." And he stretched that long answer, but then he had to bring it back. No, tell me. Okay, so let's get back in that. That was, I think, was the moment. Like you can tell, like Trump likes to talk a lot.
Yeah.
Despite like he get a little time, you know, with the.
But you know what? They brought that up, Nomi. You know, and even Trump brought it up himself. He was like, "Yeah, I like to do the cascade. I like to bring it in." I did see that part. He was like, "It takes a very smart person to do that."
Exactly.
Because the tariffs is what I noticed when he was like, "Yeah, when you start talking, you go off on something else." He was like, "Yeah, but I bring it back." This all goes to the whole cascading thing that I do to bring it back. And it was very smart of him. But yeah, I did notice that as well. But one thing about Trump, yeah, he goes off on little things, but it's not a politician answer.
Politician, yeah.
When I ask you
it's a planned.
When I ask you a yes or no question and you go off on this, 6-paragraph answer that doesn't have anything to do with the question, he can bring it back. But yeah, he does go off. But I honestly think too, though, a man of his age, of his stature, and all the life experiences that he's had. Dude's probably got a million excellent stories, So I mean, so it's something that he does. He does go, he'll take a question and but it's never a politician answer. It always has some meaning, especially in his own eyes. To a politician,
authenticity, because I'll say right now, at least for myself, like I'm not a rich man. I'm okay, but I consider myself kind of a middle of the road. Maybe you could argue nowadays, poor man. I don't know, but I'm happy, and I have a lot of flavor to add to this recipe, to this discussion, and that's the angle that Trump comes from that I don't think is authentic on the other side. What I've noticed, at least from listening to some Kamala stuff, is that when Kamala comes out, she's trying to force a connection with somebody who doesn't know her. If you notice that, it's always a pullback to the same lines, the same middle class, the same working at McDonald's. And I shared with you guys, I thought it was hilarious. The McDonald's thing. I mean, that was literally in the town that I used to live in. So
Trump about the fake picture, or where Trump was actually at McDonald's?
No, the actual place. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just funny as heck, because like when you look at that, authenticity means everything. And people, like, it's weird that they are painting it in red because Trump is aggressive. Okay, maybe Trump isn't so much aggressive, but he's just authentic. Don't you want an authentic president instead of somebody who's fake and trying to put on an act?
Fake accents and all that. Man, Kamala went to one of the recent rallies somewhere, and she had a different accent, totally different accent.
Oh yeah, dude, her accent, her tone switch is hilarious.
Well, Hillary did the same thing in 2016. I remember.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
hell, I think even Obama did it in 2008 against McCain when he was traveling around the country.
Yeah, I can see it. It was just, I mean, it goes back to the whole COVID thing. When I live in North Carolina, which is considered the South. There would be radio ads that would come on, and it was like, you need to wear your mask. put on your mask with your family during the holidays. And there's some guy in New York putting on some fake ass Southern accent to try to make it more believable to the. I mean, we were all just like, it's like, what the? Come on, man. You don't have to do that, and people see right through that crap. And to go to HUD's point, that's not authentic, man. I mean, if you're in New York and you're speaking with a Boston accent, but then you go down to Georgia and you want to say, y'all want to go get some sweet tea, bro. People see that shit. We see right through that fucking shit. Exactly. And you better, it's better just be yourself everywhere. I don't think Trump.
I don't know, Kevin. I think you're wrong. I think the American people are stupid. The Kamala campaign has shown me that. They accept that. They assume that. I don't know, man.
Yeah, but I think that's in the 4 years of time. Like, okay, let's just start it back from 2016. How far we came with that where and don't forget, he's the first one who went against mainstream media being biased, and now look where we at the point where nobody is really giving much importance what's poll said on a ABC, NBC, or whatever. It's now more important, like where both of them are going. Like Kamala went to one of the raunchy podcasts, and
dude, I gotta share with you. I'm sorry, Naomi, I don't mean to interrupt you. Yeah. I gotta share with you at some point all the AI generated Kamala Harris porn that I've been sent, because I'm just like,
I bet, man. I saw one of the video like Trump and Kamala being in love. That's a creepy.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, it's scary, man. But like on the same point, like right after that, we found Trump on flagrant. Bro, these guys are like what? They are like comedians, and he was there sitting with them, talking about policy, and it was a hilarious interview of him. So
yeah.
So right now, I think and we see both of them like really rarely on mainstream media, except the rallies they do. But everybody know it's written on the wall that mainstream media is biased against Trump, and this is why he took that route of going to just social media, and he even doing collaboration. A guy like Aiden Ross, like, can you imagine? Can you imagine?
Absolutely random
as well, right? Or is that JD Vance and Theo Vaughn?
Yeah, who would have thought like 8 years ago, like this would be so important? Like he had to go. And there's a one video I saw. I think y'all saw that Trevor Wallace. And
yeah, dude, I love Trevor.
And he did the guy with the Gen Z, and the guy he had to do the scream, and they were asking him, and he was asking questions, and it's so hilarious. Like I think Trump knows better how to,
position himself.
Exactly,
and that's the whole thing, is that this media ramp up didn't occur until the very end, which I found very, very interesting, because pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if Kamala Harris is going to be your candidate, have her do the same things. I'm pretty sure that JD Vance did 61 or 62 interviews before Tim Walz had a single one. That says a lot. Think about that.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, and I could be completely blowing this out of proportion, and by all means, please fact check me. But I do know that they had both been pushing for this, and it was only until they were really pushing it, and then they ramped it up, and then the Kamala camp went ahead and scrambled. And when they scrambled, they fell. That's why it's always good to have a plan ahead of time. Yeah. I do not think that they had a plan, and that's why this is an entire mess, and that's why the polls are just shooting right down right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not having a plan. They thought the plan was, well, we'll just ride on the curtails of everybody hates Trump.
Yeah,
So
just
we can
call
just sit back and not do anything. And then they started seeing on the contrary. And yeah, the fact check, I think with JD Vance, when it comes to Tim Walz, I mean, dude, that's night and day. JD Vance is very articulate. He's a very intelligent guy.
What do you
Very
mean?
smart.
What do
And
you
he's
mean?
a fucking nerd. I love it.
He must be a closet Democrat. I don't
Yo,
know.
you know what? Know what? Kevin, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to say it right here, right now, because I haven't said it live before, but I have been yelling it to the rooftops. And after everything I've seen, JD Vance, win or lose on the Republican side, JD Vance will be the next president of the United States.
You think so?
I know so.
I think he's got a good chance, and especially, you know, if we do get, you know, if there is 4 more years of Trump and JD Vance, of course, JD Vance will probably 99% chance be the Republican nominee. If he picks a solid VP,
Like
Ron
AOC.
DeSantis,
Massive.
yeah, like AOC,
probably.
yeah, maybe she convert. Shit, I don't know how fucking crazy out of her. I'm sorry I said that. I shouldn't have said that. I had a Trump moment there. Like Ron
I think you're right,
DeSantis,
man.
because he's on his final, you know, term in Florida as governor.
Yeah.
A Vance DeSantis in the next election could be
Holy shit.
wow.
Yeah.
That could
That
be
would be a
awesome.
powerhouse.
That would be, because Ron DeSantis is loved. I'm a Floridian by heart. I grew up there, haven't lived there for 20 years, but that's where I plan to retire. That's where my parents still live. Ron DeSantis is probably one of the most prolific
Based.
governors and based, yes,
Yeah.
and logical. And after getting to know what I've known from JD Vance by seeing his interviews, how articulate his background, where he's come from, what his values and beliefs are, a Vance DeSantis running ticket on the next election would be, there's no way you could probably rig that election.
I would say
unless-
Massey as well would be a good running mate.
Matt Gaetz?
Matt-
Yo, all I have to say is Siege D is trolling the fucking hell out of me tonight.
Siege, I want my
Yo.
book back.
Yeah, give the book back. AJ had some issues with shipping, and so I need an extra one.
I know they came today. Finally, I think what happened is the postal service got them sent back, and then Amazon sent them.
Fair enough, brother. We love you. We love you. All right, go on, guys. Sorry, I'm just thinking about this, and this guy's trolling me in the comments.
I love it, man. I love
Yeah,
it.
I mean, so you see like how funny it sounds like, and when you see Kamala, even going, there's a one video circling around. She with the governor of Michigan at the bar, and yeah, we know even the girls don't talk like that in the bar. She tried to make herself that's a typical, like she goes to bar a lot, and just because she can talk, like shade or F words, and that's make her like go like is she gonna really appeal to the people who likes to go and drink? That's just new make sense.
And
What I
and
find-
the whole thing,
what I
the whole
find-
thing is scripted.
Failed PR attempt is what it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
oh shit, the cameras are on us. It's like, no shit, Sherlock.
yeah.
And what I find so interesting about this whole thing, and like that's the entire purpose of this stream today, is kind of talking about, okay, so podcasting is now defining presidency. Like, what the hell is going on? It used to be you have respected news sources that you're going to go to. You're going to watch the primaries. You're going to watch the debates. You follow through, and then you make your advised decision. That doesn't exist anymore. And that's what I find so wild with this is like Kamala has flip-flopped on a lot of different things. Damn, I was about to just completely butcher her name, but hey, I checked my tongue. Kamala has jailed innocent people. She's about ending fracking and then open to fracking, but won't define what changed her mind or when she changed her mind.
She
And
wants
then
a
when you're asked, like,
Like,
it blows my mind. How is that acceptable? It's like Trump came in and then they were like, okay, this guy, he was on The Apprentice. Everybody knows who Trump is. Let's treat politics the same way. And then they just went with it. What the hell's going on? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Why do podcasts now define how the American people are going to understand and vote for their future?
I think it's a combination of a lot of things going on there because, like, you only have 5 companies that own all the companies in reality, especially in the media
Right.
world. You got that right there. Like, Disney owns both ABC and Fox, so Fox is effectively controlled opposition on behalf of Disney. And you've seen back to
Right.
DeSantis, you see the war that DeSantis has had with Disney. So you got that going on. And it's just like a whole bunch of things. Like, you follow the money, and back to the conspiratorial things start adding up and you start connecting dots. You're like, I don't trust this stuff anymore. And I think it goes all the way back to well before even these elections, all the way back to like Edward Bernays getting conscripted to sell the American breakfast. I think Edward Bernays, the master of manipulation for media, is the root cause of a lot of this stuff. Like, a lot of people follow his input on how to manipulate the masses.
I'm just curious, like, this entire thing, like, how can you not feel disrespected as an American? I know some people are from outside the States, but how can you not feel disrespected that they think you're this stupid? 1 + 1 always equaled 2. Don't tell me it now equals 3. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, and God damn it, I'm probably going to get canceled. I really hope I don't get fired from my job. But when I think about this, it's like, how can you tell me that a transgender man or transgender woman, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. How can you say that they can give birth when they have male genitalia at birth? It doesn't make any sense. It logically cannot compute.
Well,
And so that's why I'm just like so confused with this entire thing, because they're pulling everything back to Trump and Hitler to scare you, to make you vote a certain way. But shouldn't you just be educated on what is instead of what is put out, which is what these podcasts are doing? They're just putting out the message they want to put out, and then it's up to that specific podcast studio to decide if they're putting that out or not, because they can always pick and choose, right?
yeah. I because I got to roll soon, but we're having a great conversation. I wish we could go for 3 hours. But to go back to your original point, do I feel disrespected? I don't feel disrespected. I honestly feel flattered in my own well-being to know that I can read right through their fucking bullshit. Okay, you want to call this guy a person name, but I'm supposed to think that a man can have a baby. Look, I live in the real world. I've been in the real world for 46 years now. Your rhetoric and your noise is not going to change my logic that I've created up here, and I've learned from myself. So, disrespected? No, I don't feel disrespected. It's almost laughable that they would think that grown men and women will actually fall into this. And I know some people will. I get that. That's fine. Let them be the sheep.
Really,
But
Kevin?
I am proud
Really,
of myself that yes, absolutely, really. I
There's
don't.
so many people.
more upset with
There's
Kevin or
so many
Siege.
people. Go ahead.
What's that, AJ?
I said I can't tell if he's more upset with you or if he's more upset with Siege's comment right there.
Oh no, I'm cool with Siege. Siege is funny. Siege is funny. I appreciate the hell out of him. But
no, I'm
no,
just giving
I'm
my
like kind of
personal
upset
opinion
with
on it.
that, because where is the personal accountability and like moving forward? And you're almost absolving responsibility on men by saying, okay, yeah, no, it's not that big of a deal. You get it. Everybody gets it. They get it. And just navigate around it. Like, no, stand up for yourself. Like, this is fucking bullshit,
Well, no,
right?
I
This is
understand.
fucking bullshit. And so if you don't have a problem with this, I don't know how to help you. I mean, every single person here on this panel having this discussion right now, and I am very much looking forward to doing this discussion because we are going to be doing this discussion on the Dragon Ship
On
this
election night.
Saturday. So
Well,
definitely
we got
tune in.
election night though too. Next Tuesday.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be interesting, but at a certain point, I feel like you should be disrespected because they're assuming if they're assuming you're smart enough, well then you are and you don't fall for it. But they're assuming you're dumb enough.
Yeah.
That's my problem. Is they're assuming you're dumb enough to fall into it. I think that is a very important point that cannot be let go.
No,
Well,
and I get where you're coming from, brother. I really do. But remember, we talked about it last night during our closed door meeting. You know,
Mhm.
I honestly feel like, you know, because, you know, when in 2016, if Trump wins, the country's over. In 2020, if Biden wins, the country's over. Now it's 2024. The country wasn't over. The way I honestly feel about it, I built myself up to be a man that I can free think for myself. And I've got enough to where if taxes go up a little
You're
bit,
independent.
I'm independent, you know. If taxes go up a little bit, yeah, it'll sting a little bit, but I can pay them. Fuck it. If gas prices go down, hey, I've got more money in my pocket. I don't let the people in Washington affect me enough that it doesn't matter who's president. Cookie Monster could be fucking president. My life might change a little bit, but it's not going to change enough to where it's going to ruin me or make me great. You know what I mean? And that's the stance I come from. You know, now
Gotcha.
I voted. I've already voted how I voted, and I know who I want to win. But if they lose, I'm not going to fucking get in the feet.
It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, I'm not going to get in the
it's
feet
not
and cry. You know, so at the end of the day, my life's not going to change so much that it's going to affect my emotion. It's going to change my vacations. It's going to change my quality of life. It's not. So at the end of the day, I'm going to vote how I vote, but I'm not going to be disrespected if they think I'm stupid. I know I'm not. I'm not going to fall into their rhetoric and believe that if Trump wins, there's going to be internment camps and Nazism and fascism. I'm not going to believe that if Kamala wins, that we're going to turn into a communist country and then all of a sudden we all have government jobs and we got to stand in breadlines. I'm not going to believe that shit. Because one thing that I love about the United States is that who is president is not know all be all. You still have House, still have Congress, you still have all these outlets that have to go through. So
Stop gaps. Yeah, they have a whole bunch of stop gaps.
Yeah, you know, so I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not gonna let it affect my life to where the few years I have left on this earth that I'm gonna be depressed about who's the fucking president.
Right.
Let them do their fucking thing. I'm gonna do my
Yeah,
thing.
that's a good point. That's a good point, and that's what I'm trying to like. I guess I'm understanding this right now.
I know they already took out the calculation of you feeling disrespected. They don't care for people like us who are kind of educated on this. When they went to the direct election of senators instead of having the state legislators select senators, that was one way to get around it. And when they got rid of the whole requirements of being 21 and a landowner to vote, they took care of that part of the equation long ago.
Man.
Well, guys, hey, we have a pause, and I hate to leave this conversation, but I do have something I have to do. Alex, thanks for setting this up. Nomi, I'm glad you were here. AJ, it's good to talk with you, buddies, but I got to roll.
Nice, man.
But I will see
you.
Yeah,
let's do a wrap.
I will see you soon.
Yeah, let's do a wrap real quick. I know we're building some stuff up. I was going to share some stuff, but we'll probably just
do it Saturday
here.
Y'all still doing the show on Saturday? Dragon Ship?
Yeah. It looks like Kevin doesn't need to jump. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm gonna share this It's the same thing I sent to you, AJ. I think.
Oh,
It's
which one did you send me?
I'm gonna pull it up right now. How? Oh my god. How the Harris campaign is trying to reach their voters that they are not reaching.
Oh, you're talking about the fucking male gaming, trying to use like Fortnite and not having guns in it,
Yep. So,
and the Madden without the controller plugged in.
So, if you want a future where you have no guns, you could join Kamala Harris's Fortnite map. It bans guns, but there's less than 400 people playing.
And you see, like, it's a reporting by Newsweek. That's a more like leftist media. They are reporting that.
Right. Even on the leftist side. So the campaign pushed it forward. Of course, this was set to
right now.
Never Play by Megan Thee Stallion, everyone's favorite, And so they pushed out this formal map, which is an exclusive map. If you're going to vote, let's listen to Freedom Town USA. You guys hear that?
Barely.
Go, man. Come on, man.
All right, I'm going to reshare it.
You see, like, how is it to your point, like, feeling disrespect? Like, what?
I do feel disrespected with that as a gamer. I'm gonna go play Space Marine 2 and be a fascist in space for the God Emperor.
Like, what is that? Like, where's the policy?
Freedom Town USA, where there are no guns.
Oh my goodness.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Come on, man.
Let them know we on the way. Counting zeros every day. You know that we never play. Hey. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. Let them know we on the way. Counting zeros every day. You know that we never play.
Tell me, where's the policy in that? How it's gonna change somebody's life, daily life? Like, where's the tax?
Why would you think there would be policy?
People don't care about policy; they care about free shit,
Bro. It's the same free shit. Like when you say, "Oh, if you're gonna buy this much, we're gonna ship you for free," but they're charging that shit. It's the same.
It drives me crazy because, like, I'm more libertarian, I'm more moderate. So, like, I'm not Republican or Democrat. Like, I don't really lean. I kind of sit in the middle.
Here's a good question.
I can't even pick. I can't even fucking pick because I don't know what the fuck's going on. This is ridiculous.
Aren't you gonna follow your boo, Taylor Swift?
No. I do love Taylor Swift though. Thank you.
Here's a good question about that Fortnite. How much taxpayer dollars went into that?
Probably around 5 million.
At least.
Yep.
Waste of fucking taxpayer dollars.
But you see, like we seen, like, right before our eyes, like a one candidate going and having a rational conversation for 3 hours, bro. And you can listen to that. Like, you can listen. There's a policy. He's talking about foreign policy. He's talking about how you're gonna get the tax cut. He's talking about energy sector. All that just step by step because a host give him a time, to explain. Despite being, bro, he has a lot of patience. You gotta admit that Joe Rogan has a lot of patience. So on the other side, one candidate, they're trying to go after gamers. Like, what they do, like gamers, they just talk shit and nonsense, just playing games. That's like somebody's free time, they're giving it.
Yeah, it's I just lost my train of thought. You're cooking, and I'm like, oh man, this is gonna go good for me.
Exactly. Like, they have a lot of short answers. Like, even somebody says some nonsense, they're like, "Oh, yo, go, bro. Oh, he cooked." And
right there, you just brought me back. Like, right now we're in the midst of Gamergate 2.0, effectively, as gamers, with like Sweet Baby Inc. and all these leftist companies who are consultant quotation. And that's why we get like shitty fucking games. We're getting like that new Dragon Age just came out. It's like first hour, it's like you can be transgendered.
Don't
So
get me
and then
started on this shit.
Baldur's Gate 3.
Come on.
And then the whole thing with like Stellar Blade, like the Americans got a different release on if you bought it physical than you did as a digital because the ass and tits were too fucking big. I'm shitting you not. And then like they're complaining about Space Marine 2, and like I was kind of hesitant about it at first, but then I bought it. I'm like, oh, this is freaking awesome.
And you know they
It
have
really
like
is wild.
a movie. I think it's a movie or it's a new game trailer of Minecraft. You see,
The new movie coming out.
it's a movie,
Jack
right?
Black.
It's a movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Man, you see, it's so cringy. Like even they're like, what is that? Even the Minecraft community.
You're just missing the mark, and that's what I don't understand. Is like my understanding of life. My understanding of life is to enjoy what you have with
Yeah.
those that you have it with. Okay, and what that really means is not trying to cause rifts in other people's story. We are all living our own RPG. Let's pay attention to that. So as soon as we try and disrupt other people's lives, I don't know about you guys, but every single time I've tried to disrupt somebody else's life, it never ends well. And
Exactly.
that's exactly what this is.
Yeah.
Where they're entering into certain spaces where, okay, that's fine. Like if it's going to grow the space, but we are throwing away the core dynamics of the space just for inclusion. Well, like, I mean, let's be honest. There's certain things like rifles and big buck hunting. That's not really a black person or a Mexican or a Chinese person thing. It's just not.
No.
It's more like a white person hick.
Yeah,
Like it's
Southern.
more like
Yeah,
like an
Southern
upper.
white.
Yeah, it's more like an upper Pennsylvania thing. Like
Yeah.
it is what it is. It's more like an upper a Northern Virginia thing. It just is what it is. There's nothing wrong with that. But like, why are we trying to force everything in a certain way? And that's what just becomes so confusing with the angle that they're trying to take, because it's like, whose side are you really on? And it's almost like confusion on to what side am I actually supposed to be on? Am I actually on the wrong side? And then you're questioning yourself. And this is just not healthy.
Self
for people.
gaslighting.
Yeah, and it's just it blows my mind, like, because that's what I'm kind of dealing with right now, and like AJ will talk about it offline.
Well,
at
it's
some
like I
point.
said in the Dragon Ship chat, I'm like, just mental point of origin. Like the two sayings from friggin' Rob Says and Aaron Clary: "Let them burn" and "Enjoy the decline." That's where I'm at.
Right. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be.
Well, guys, it's really good to talk to y'all, man. It's really the topic I saw, and I just wanted to chime in and just wanted to couldn't wait to just give my 2 cents. But you see, like in 8 years, how the world has changed, the America has changed. Like nobody listen and watch mainstream media anymore. It's irrelevant, completely irrelevant.
Mainstream media is irrelevant. Nobody actually listens to what the other person is saying. I've noticed multiple times so far where it seems more so on the left than the right that they
Yeah.
are taking clips out of context.
Mm.
They're not providing the context, and then they're accusing certain things. I mean, the fact that you can yell about a potential presidential candidate who is also a former president,
Former.
like the highest honor you can have in this country, and we are still treating him like he's a fucking nonsense baby. It irks the hell out of me, because I don't even care if you're an idiot. If you can speak coherently and we can have a conversation, that's what I want to have. I don't understand how that got lost.
What would happen if, say, the right winger media, the more right leaning media, would just come out and just constantly call Kamala or Joe Biden, start calling them friggin' Stalin or Mao, just
Yeah.
constantly. the two biggest mass murderers in all of history.
Yeah.
Well, they do call out some of it, but you're right. They don't. It's not like their focus. It's almost like their focus seems to be against Trump, all these
Yeah.
bad things. But we don't do that on the other side, and it's confusing. It's confusing as to why. But I also think that comes with a layer of maturity.
I also think
we
it goes
don't.
back to Rules for Radicals, the book.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I think he saw that like what route he needs to take in order for to convey his message, so it doesn't get filtered out by like 5, 6, sides, and then they just taken out of context. So he just started going to the podcast and just talking and to convey his message like that because he knows this is the future. People are gonna listen more. The social media, what's being said, and also even the social media try to ban you and censor you. You have always alternative. There are a lot of platforms in few years just came out. Who say like come to our platform and get the freedom of speech.
Right. Right. No, that's it. That's a great point. Because yeah, like certainly he's changed some language to make it more acceptable, but then it got to a certain point where it's like I just don't give a shit. And you've seen Elon Musk out there with him going ahead and how funny is that? Like
Yeah,
who
Straight up,
would have
just go-
thought? Not me.
Yeah.
Nobody thought ever like for it all started after 2020 because the mainstream media went out with the narrative that you need to obey. You know what I mean? Like they were pointing a fingers at Americans that you need to obey, you need to listen. And
No, you're
America,
wrong. No, you're wrong. It's not
you're
you need
wrong
to
and you
obey.
need to.
You're wrong.
Exactly. So there was no like critical thinking. At no point they were shaming people, and people and all the social media got also blend with that, and they just come after people wrongly. And I think that's really opened a lot of people eyes, and we've seen a lot of influx of shifting of the narrative, like going, okay, hold on. A lot of people start thinking, hold on. So you saying like I'm wrong, I cannot live my life on my terms. Like, how dare you? And Americans don't like it. Americans don't like it. Somebody
Right.
tell.
Right.
How
So
dare you
Against
think
our
for yourself?
principle.
You're selfish. You want the old people to die. You want children to die.
exactly. So they're like, come on, I just want to live my life. I would just want to have you're ruining my livelihood by closing my business and telling me I'm selfish, being not obeying the government. Like, why would I need to do it? My constitution gave me a right of that, not you.
This country is born on not giving a fuck about a government.
Exactly. So I think that's really, and we see then how incompetent the presidency was, and it's people saw through the red eye lens in these
Mhm.
4 years, and that's why we're seeing a shifting of narrative and support of Trump.
Right.
But in
Right.
again,
And
and justifies the means. You never know. So it's America. We saw that.
right. Right. And I think that's a very great point. We're going to do a wrap up here.
Yeah.
But I think that's a very great point that it is. It's just like such weird gaslighting. It's like, well, if I know 1+1 = 2 and 1+1 is now equaling 3, something is off in the matrix. And when we say matrix, we're talking about just the code that exists, like the way that the world functions as a program. If we see something off,
Mhm.
and then we're also seeing results that are off, I'm not, I mean, personally, being in IT, I'm not waiting for that ticket to arise and unravel a massive snake. I would much rather hit the problem as soon as it arises. So I think that that's just kind of an interesting way to look at it. AJ, I'm going to go with you first. if you want to round us out on your final thoughts with this, we are going to be doing, I don't want to do it too long, but we are going to be doing an election live stream next week.
Oh,
Would-
dude, I'm totally down. I'm at
Oh,
work
that
on my laptop.
That
But I
would
can,
be interesting. Yeah,
I'm,
that would be interesting.
at that point, I'm acting supervisor at work on election night.
Fantastic. We're gonna do it. I'm gonna be switching through some of the paid channels that I have, as well as some of the mainstream, and just really diving into this because I think it's very important for people to see. I think a lot of people have too much faith in the government,
Yeah.
which is a shame. Which is a shame. Like we shouldn't feel that way. I still believe in my government. There's a reason why I'm still here. It's just a shame that that doubt needs to occur, and then the fact that the doubt's not dealt with. That's what bothers me. It's not the way they're handling things, because I understand they're adjusting based on business process and whatnot, but it's just the fact that we're almost treated like second class citizens, whereas if you come here illegally, under certain circumstances, you can go ahead and just get yourself like a Ritz Carlton hotel, and
Isn't it crazy, man? Isn't it
I
crazy?
dude,
agree
it
with
blows
you.
my mind. It blows my mind. It really does.
Kevin
mean-
kind of mentioned it earlier. We have the three classes. You have the tax class, which is like you and I, and then you got the voting class, which are the people who are getting all the freebies because they're pandered to vote, and then you got the elite.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's gonna be super interesting as we dive deeper into it. There is zero anti-America here. There is zero like anti-government. It's just discussion on what is occurring. So I'm going to toss it to you, AJ, first. If you want to let everybody know what's going on, I think you got a book that came out, right?
Yeah, I had the book come out a couple weeks ago. I tried posting it in the chat, but the StreamYard's like, nope, you're not gonna post it. It's on Amazon. It's part of the RP Thor's Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence book series, encyclopedia, companion compilation, whatever you want to call it. Great work right there. I think it's something that we definitely needed in the men's self-help space, where we have a group of guys all working on the same purpose to promote the 7 Ps, which Thor goes over in his book. Highly recommend buying his book, buy Paul Bauer's book, which was the second one. Wraith was the third. I was the fourth. I think Donovan Sharp's up next, maybe.
No, that's bullshit. I'm gonna get mine out before him.
Well, I could probably beat you both.
Well, that's
by
a me.
writing-
That's a me thing.
writing
That's a
Glenn's book
me.
for him.
That's a me competition thing.
But yeah, that book came out. Sales are doing all right for a unknown guy, relatively unknown guy in the space, and unknown author for first time author kind of thing. Just put the link to my channel in there as well. You'll see me hopping on Glenn's stream. I was in a partial sale of my house. I might come back on that and wait another 60 days. So I might pick up solo streaming a little bit more often. And then next week, I'll actually be flying out to Philadelphia to meet up with Huds and Vince from Masculine Geek. And tomorrow night, speaking of Masculine Geek, we continue on with Rollo Tomasi's Rational DM campaign on Masculine Geek for Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
Good stuff, dude. I'm gonna be like the white girl you did not want to.
Oh, what happened?
Sorry, I hit that wrong. I'm like the white girl you don't want to invite to the party because I'm still trying to understand how the heck D&D works.
So Vince is just going to tell you, because he's going to be dungeon mastering for us. Every action that you do, he's going to be like, roll a d20. And based on certain stats, your d20's got to be below that.
I don't know
below
what
that,
any
you
of that
succeed.
means.
The 20-sided dice. You're going to roll the 20-sided dice. You're going to be like, and then blah, blah, blah happens. And then say if it's like an attack situation, it'd be like, you're going to roll the d20 to hit. That's the only time you want your d20 high, is you want to be, so you know you're going to hit through their armor and stuff. And then you're going to roll a different dice for your damage done. So think of it like fucking WoW without the fucking computer in the background doing all the work for you.
Or you can think of it like gambling.
Sure.
It's like a slot machine. You don't know how it's going to end up.
Yes, exactly. It's a random number generator. Your D20 is your random number generator.
Yeah, so that's going to be fun. And guys, for everybody that is listening to this, I mean, the Men of Now community is absolutely fantastic. The Dragon Ship as well. I'm so excited for this weekend's. It's gonna be fun. AJ, are you gonna be there?
On Saturday, yeah, I'll be waking up early because it's my work weekend. I'm actually working. I'm off tomorrow and Thursday. I'm working Friday through Tuesday night, and I'm leaving early Tuesday morning to catch my flight up to Philadelphia, or Wednesday.
All right.
Sorry, Wednesday morning. Tuesday night and Wednesday morning.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So we're gonna go out to the riots after the election, of course.
Bring the deagle.
I will bring the deagle. Oh, I almost want to pull it out, but I don't feel like pulling it out. I got in it. It's a nice little sock in case. But yeah, no, it's absolutely fantastic. Like these men's communities, that's one of the things that I've found growing up is that we just tend to get less of those deeper connections with people. And one of the ways that you can do that is through these men's communities, whether it be Men of Now, or whether it be through the Dragon Ship, whether it be through Paul's Beer Club, whether it be through what Masculine Geek does, what Vince does over there with his group. Just get a part of something, because at the very least you can be a wallflower and you can leave. I mean, we talked about that a little bit when Nuke was bringing it up. Like, understand when you enter the workplace, be a wallflower. And that is so true. Be a wallflower to start. And then once you gain the knowledge, then you can go ahead and do something more. But how do you know what it is that you need to do? It's literally exactly what we do at Men of Now. That's exactly what we're trying to do, at least with these streams, is impart some of that wisdom. You know, we're not gonna give you any, like, everything until you get behind that paywall and we can dive really deep into certain issues, but we can give you some of the surface level stuff. And you should be able to see that the American political system is kind of nonsense at this point. It has become, unfortunately, it has become reality television. Welcome to reality television.
It's like every time they turn on C-SPAN, it looks like I'm watching an episode of Gotham.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, the
It's absolutely
politicians
nuts.
become the most hated people in the United States.
Right. Yeah, and just the greed and everything. But I will have to say, and before I take us out, Nomi, I want you to go ahead and speak on your experience so far in Men of Now, and then also kind of your final thoughts on this entire discussion and how you're kind of feeling going into next week.
Yeah, I just want to wrap it up real quick. I just want to say, like, the world has changed, like, really dramatic change. Like, it's a 180-degree change in that. As you know, like, throughout the years, technology evolve, and now the mainstream media, literally talking about podcasts define presidency. So it all depends. Like, you see, like, one candidate just went to one of the biggest podcaster and gained the popularity, and the other one didn't even want to catch up and go with some nonsense gaming, doing it with the 400 people. So like, the world is changing, but at the end of the day, as Mr. Kevin, who left early, so he explained, no matter what, I'm gonna do my job, and I'll need to do things what needs to be done. It's nothing gonna much effect on my life if I'm not letting that to be. you know so whatever happens on November 5th, don't let don't let it be the end of the world. Whoever wins, you need to do better with your life and sort out all that, whether it's your wealth, fitness, and all that. And speaking of finding community, Man of Now, I've been with this community over a year now, and I'm telling you guys, I've never been feel more supportive than being in the group. So, like, anytime there are some down moments in my life, when I need some advice or just a little bit pep talk and push, I know where to go and find people and where I am. So I just they're like treating me like a brother, like a family. And another good thing that social media did is people can find their own, like communities, yeah, and where their interests are, and people who are genuinely worried about them and care about them, and if they have a question, they can answer them. So Men of Now is the one providing that opportunity, especially a guy like me. In the 1 year, I have seen so much progress in my life, and it will be continue. Uh, and right now, I'm right here, right before in front of you guys, and they give me a chance to even talk of this topic. So if you are on the verge and when I'm looking for the community, which you treat you like where you feel like that you can be heard, or you can, bring your own ideas, or even you just need a help with any question, Man of Now is the way. Uh, or you can just go around it, like where it's your interest, where you feel comfortable. I myself feel that I have really progressed in my life since I've been with the community, with the guys like Huds and Josh and other people. So it's really, it's more good things to come in future. And finally, there's a game going on, World Series. Go Yankees.
Boo. Go Red Sox. Sorry.
Boo.
I grew up in New England.
Whatever.
I grew
Y'all,
up in
y'all
there.
really going with the team that gets runs by some nonsense news songs person? Come on, man.
It's like growing up in Vermont. You have three teams you root for baseball. It's either the Mets, Yankees, or Sox. I ended up with the Sox.
Come on, man.
Yo, I hate all this.
It used to be the Montreal Expos, but then they went to DC.
Bro, look, I am okay. I also go with the Rangers, right? They didn't do well. Yankees is my second option. So I'm gonna go with, if I have to pick between Yankees and Dodgers, I'm going with Yankees.
Meh.
All right, I want your guys' opinion on this because I didn't know we were going to get into baseball. My 1, 2, 3 is Orioles, Phillies, Pirates.
I'd have to say Boston, growing up there. Probably Mariners, because I lived in Seattle for 10 years and that was my first baseball game. And then probably Rangers third, because I live 15 minutes from the stadium. So I go see the Red Sox play the Rangers every year.
The Red Sox stadium is beautiful. I love it right there.
Fenway, but the new Ranger Stadium I love that stadium. That's by far like 300 level above home plate, completely sealed in. It could be like a 90-degree day. It's nice, 70 degrees. I paid $30 for a ticket.
And when you're talking about, you're talking recently? So
I went at the last Red Sox at Rangers game, paid I think $27 a ticket for 300 level above home plate.
last year?
This year.
Oh, this year. Oh, okay. So there's
Not too bad.
Yeah.
Nah, like I said, man, I go with it because it also has a CEO of our good friend Pat David. He's also the CEO of that. Part of it, not all of it. So that's why I want to go with Yankees. I know they are 2-0 right now, but I hope they win today. So far, they are on dominant position.
Well, because they have the most money. I'm not kidding, dude. I'm not. You're gonna. I'm not doing this conversation. I'm not doing this conversation right now.
Okay, hold on.
Are you a Phillies fan,
Guys, I'm sorry.
Huds?
No, so I would actually put Orioles as number one for me. I love the O's. They have a beautiful stadium too. I love going there. Number 2 becomes Philly, of course, Phillies. And then right after that becomes the Pirates.
Okay, lastly, we all go with the college. I know, Huds.
I don't know college baseball.
No, college football.
Oh, dude, that's Georgia every day.
You go Georgia?
Yeah, dude, Bulldogs. Ooh.
Not Penn State.
No, well, Penn State's not going to get there.
Hey, dude, TCU made it there, and no one thought they would.
There are only 2 teams that I watch: during every college football season, and it is the Bulldogs and the Nittany Lions. That's it.
Dang.
I
Mhm.
actually don't watch college football because growing up in Vermont again, UVM hasn't had a football team since like 1938.
Oh Lord.
Go Blues.
I'll watch them for college basketball. Go Catamounts. They'll make the tournament and then get knocked out in the first round.
Yes. Oh, that's funny. But guys, let's wrap this up here. That was I really appreciate that, Nomi. Like, it really has been transformative, not just for you on your end and for the other guys, but also even just for myself. Like, working with you guys and continuing to push forward, because what is this really all about? Yes, there's a clickbait nonsense title on this. There's clickbait talking points. Yes. But it's really about, okay, how do we evaluate the world and then do better for ourselves? And I think that that's like the most important piece of like why we even do this. It's why we do the Dragon Ship as well every Saturday, because a rising tide lifts all ships. It's all about just bringing each other up, seeing the world for what it is. Sometimes you can't see things when you're a little bit below the tide, but when you're able to be lifted, to be able to see the actual battleground that's going on, okay, how am I going to tackle that? And that's what we're trying to discuss. And that's what we're doing within the Men of Now community. Um, I mean, Nomi, I love you to death, and I don't mean to be rude, but dude, you were a loser when I first met you, and I don't even recognize you anymore. It's absolutely. Oh, he hopped out. But it's absolutely amazing. It's absolutely amazing to see how Nomi has progressed. And when I say that, when I say loser, I'm not saying that because that's how I actually think about him. That was more a jest because I thought he was still here. But he was at a certain point, and then it's like we gave him a jetpack, but it was a controlled jetpack.
I know that feeling all too well, because like when I got into the male self-improvement spaces, like I was coming out of a bad breakup, learning how to redate again, and then I was doing all right with my career, but like ever since then, switching companies, fucking 22.5% pay increase when I jumped from one company to another, and now 18 months later, I'm supervisor, or I'm a lead technician now, acting supervisor. It's crazy. Like, people trust me. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing half the time, but okay, let's do it.
Yeah, but you're capable of dealing with it at this point, that's what's so insane. I don't know. I've been thinking about this a lot recently, and I probably will have a show that we do very soon, at least within the next month, probably on the Dragon Ship, on how do you attain some of those skills, because that imposter syndrome can cripple you. Like, oh my god, and it's
almost
so
back to the
hard
book because of that.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, I don't know if I should even publish this thing, and it's just like, fuck it, go for it.
Yeah, like, what do you have to lose? But there's so much knowledge. I mean, hell, you sharing some of the photos and some of the past stuff was funny last week. But
the MTG chick.
yeah, where you are now versus where you were, yeah, you have some credibility.
You're talking about the photo with me when I ran for city council in 2017. So yeah, I do have some credibility to talk about politics because I've been in the politics. I've been in the trenches.
I just mean all the way around. You have credibility talking about like the importance of metal spaces and, you know, just paying attention to certain things. And really the entire purpose of this one and what we're going to do next week, we're going to do, it's killing me, but we're going to do it anyways. I want to watch Crowder all the way through just because I like the comedic and I'm able to decipher what is a little too right and what is acceptable for me, which I think is difficult for people nowadays. It's almost like they have to pick a side instead of being able to decipher on their own. but that's an entirely different topic that will probably be explored next week. But you can catch us next week. We're going to be doing the same thing. We're going to be hopping around from different news sources, covering the election, and looking at exactly how they're speaking about it. Because you know it's going to be different.
There's
You
gonna be
know it's gonna be
biases
different.
left and right. Oh man, it's like pull up CNN or MSNBC versus Fox or even News Matters or whoever else is a right wing pundit. Like who is it? The one that Shapiro owns.
Daily Wire.
Oh yeah, watch Daily Wire. It's gonna get a little crazy, and like
Yeah. So I'm very much looking forward to it. This weekend on the Dragon Ship, I'm going to be hosting this weekend. We're going to be talking about what happened to critical thought.
ooh, that's a good one.
Because that's really what it is. And we are at that point where nobody has to have, it's not a requirement anymore to have critical thought.
Well, it's
Which
almost
I
like
think is
everyone's binary thinking.
right.
There's no
And
nuance.
it's absurd. It's absurd. And I'm just seeing it more than ever with this current election. Like I had mentioned before, my girlfriend's brother is an active Kamala. I don't know why I'm saying it that way. Kamala volunteer. So on Saturdays, when we stream the Dragon Ship, he's cold calling a bunch of random people and asking why they're not voting for Kamala. So let's look at priorities here. I'm pretty sure we have better priorities, and we're trying to build for a better future instead of being blind to the world around us.
I agree.
So that's where I'm going to let you guys go tonight. This was an absolutely fantastic discussion. Really appreciate it. Catch us back here next week. I don't know how long we're going to go. Dude, I may end up doing one of those crazy like 24-hour live streams of this.
Man.
That's how much I care about it.
Send me the link, man. I'll be at work. I'll be working a 13 to 14 hour shift instead of my normal 12, filling in those supervisor duties. So I got nothing better to do.
Absolutely. Well, I'll keep you updated. And guys, stay tuned, stay wise, and join Men of Now once it becomes available again. In the meantime, reach out to me on Instagram at the Hudsman, and I will give you the information when we reopen. We are doing a restructuring to provide you even more value. But love you. Till next time.
Awesome. Catch you later, Huds.